Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from a very rainy Oxford. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night to wherever you are in the world. Welcome to your welcome event. I'd like to start off by saying a huge congratulations to you. If you have just been admitted from the waiting room into this call, that means that you have received an offer to join this program with us. And we are just under 1 month to go. So you're very, very welcome to the call. The purpose of this call is to give you the steps for success on how to prepare between now and the start of the program. It's also the chance for you to start to eyeball some of your classmates for the first time, and there'll be a chance for you to interact with them later on in the call. I'm sure many, if not all of you, know who I am. I'm Joe Parton, Recruitment Manager for this program. Many of you will have also spoken with Pagan, who supported you through your application. Pagan is on the call as well. Another purpose of this call is to introduce you to two very important people. One is the co-program director, Siddharth Arora, that will be giving his own introduction in a moment and letting you know what you've got yourself in for with the program. And also the program manager, Hilary O'Hare, who is very much the person that myself and Pagan are handing the reins over to. Regretfully, Hilary is unfortunately unwell. And so on today's call, Jonathan Dawson has stepped in to provide you with the role of the program manager and what to expect. But familiarize yourself with Hilary's name and photo because she's the person you'll be dealing with throughout the year. So as people continue to arrive, you're all very welcome. Just as we get started, just some ground rules and a quick agenda. So I'm shortly going to hand over to Pagan that's going to give you a bit of an insight into what your class is going to look like and how it's shaped up for this year. We're then going to hand over to Siddharth that's going to provide a welcome as co-program director. We'll then hand over to Jonathan, and that will be a very practical part of the call with what you need to do, the steps you need to take in order to make sure you're prepared to start the program, and the ongoing support that the program manager can offer. We are then going to have a Q&A at the end of the session. So I'm sure a number of you might have questions that emerge during the program, during the course, the call, sorry. Please hold on to those questions because they might be answered during the course of the event. If not, we have a dedicated time at the end. And then there is an option for you to stay on at the end to network in breakout rooms with your classmates if you would like and start to make those early connections. In terms of ground rules, it would be great if you're able to, if we could see you. So please, as many of you have done, turn your camera on. But it would also be great to minimize disruption if you could mute unless you are speaking. The chat is open. And so please add any comments or questions into the chat and we will try and address them in the Q&A section. And finally, this session is being recorded for the benefit of anyone who missed it. And it's just good practice to let people know when it's being recorded. Okay, do we all feel like we're welcomed to the event and we know why we're here? So a few of you are nodding. Wonderful. So in the interest of this being an interactive event, I'd like to start with a bit of interaction. And I wonder, do one or two of you brave souls want to unmute and tell us what aspects of the diploma program are you most looking forward to? Maybe in one sentence. Introduce yourself. Who's going to go first?
Happy to.
Hi, is that Suma?
Yeah, hi, how you doing?
Over to you.
For me, I think it's, well, meeting everyone, but actually the research piece at the end. So already kind of planning.
Brilliant. And where are you at the moment, Suma? Where are you calling in from?
London.
London. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Suma. Anyone else want to unmute? What are you most looking forward to?
Hi, Joe. It's Dave Friston from Bermuda here.
Hi, Dave. Greetings to Bermuda.
Thanks for your comments. Appreciate it. Yeah, I think from my perspective, it's learning from the faculty as well as from my cohort. I think there's so much AI. There's so many developments in the AI space and with our clients, etc. So it'd be good to delve into that and pick people's brains.
Thank you, Dave. Wonderful. And then we have time for one more. I wonder if you think that you are dialing from either the furthest away location from Oxford and or the most exotic. If you'd like to.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about. Hi, Joe. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited about the module about AI in practice, which basically will show how to create value and drive growth. I'm really interested about that. I use everyday AI, and I wanted to kind of learn with everyone the network experiences in different sectors.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Angela. Brilliant. Lots of interaction on the call already. So we're off to a brilliant start. Okay, I'm now going to hand over to Pagan, who's going to take you through what your class is going to look like.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, everyone. Great to see so many of you on the call. For those of you I've not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Pagan and I support recruitment. I support Joe with recruitment. So I'm just going to give you an idea of how the class is shaping up. So Joe, if we can go to the next slide, please. So I'm very pleased to confirm that this class is looking to be a very internationally diverse cohort. So as you can see, every single continent is represented in the cohort, although the one person we have coming from Oceania is soon to move to Ireland. So unfortunately that Oceania figure might drop, but great to see so much diversity. So this is based on where people are coming from, where they reside, but I'm also pleased to share that we're on track for a class of about 60 people, and within that group, we have 33 nationalities represented. So there's going to be a huge diversity of perspective, which I'm personally really excited about, and I'm sure you are too. Next slide, please, Joe. And speaking of diversity of perspective, I just wanted to show how much experience is going to be in the class. So David, you touched on this earlier when you were talking about learning from the rest of the cohort. And I'm pleased to say that there is going to be a huge diversity of perspective. So we have a really high level of senior experience. Looking at the job titles of you all, there's lots of C-suite, senior vice presidents, managing directors. The average age is looking at about 43, and we have students from around the age of 28 up until 70. So there is going to be years of work experience and to learn from. Next slide, please, Joe. So I just wanted to also touch on the structure of the programme. You're probably already familiar with the outline of the 4 modules, so I won't spend too much time going into the exact dates. But we will also be circulating the slides afterwards, so don't worry about writing these dates down. But I just wanted to highlight that you might be familiar with the module dates, but these are the dates when the assessments will go live and the deadlines for when you'll have to submit them. Next slide, please. And something that I just wanted to touch on, because it's not a formal part of the curriculum, so you might not be as aware of it. We run a webinar series called the Executive Impact and Insight Series. What this is throughout the year, we will have a number of online virtual sessions with a mixture of career coaches and our own faculty who will be talking on an interesting topic. If they're a career coach, they'll be talking on a specific area about how you can create impact in your career. The faculty will be talking on a particular relevant business topic, not necessarily related to AI and business, and this is open to the whole diploma portfolio. While you obviously don't start your programme until the 18th of March, we do have a session on the 24th of February, so just 4 days, which if you have paid your deposit, you are welcome to attend. If you paid your deposit, you should have been given access to Canvas, in which the registration details are available for this event. But if you have any trouble accessing that, do let me or Jonathan know. The first session that we have is with Rupal Patel, who sounds like an amazing speaker. She is ex-CIA. She has been a CEO of 2 different companies, as well as a best-selling author. And she is going to be giving practical tips on how you can create and define your career with intention. You're going to leave the session with a personalized action plan of how you can create impact in your career and meaningful connections. So it's one not to miss. So for those of you who haven't paid your deposit, if you can pay before the 24th, I would strongly encourage that so you can attend RuPaul's session. I think I might be handing over to Siddharth now. So enough from me. I'd like to introduce one of your program directors, Siddharth Arora. So Siddharth, over to you.
Thanks, Pagan. Thanks, Joe. I want to start by saying a very warm welcome to all of you on this call here. And I want to say a big congratulations for getting an admit in this program at Oxford. This is the first time we are on a call together. We have not met in person, but I feel like I know some of you already. I did go through your applications. And I can say this without an iota of a doubt that every single person on this call and in this cohort are going to bring a very rich set of experience and expertise. And I eagerly look forward to meeting you all in person, believe it or not, in less than a month from now. So one of the things I want to touch upon is what can we expect before you come, what to go through in terms of the reading list, how does module 1 look like, what are the different modules going to cover. But before I do that, I thought maybe I'll briefly touch upon what some of you said they were looking for from this program. Suma mentioned that she wanted to understand the research that's going on in this field. So Kezia and I, Kezia is the other program director, have curated this program with our program team who are highly efficient and amazing people to work with. We will have quite a few talks from speakers who are the leading academics at Oxford. So they would give you a very rich insight into what is the current research going on in this field of AI. David mentioned that we want to learn from the faculty. We will have some of the top academics from the business school and university and beyond who are going to come in and deliver lectures. And Angela has mentioned that she's looking for the module on AI in practice. No pressure on me. I'll be leading that particular module. And we will have quite a few speakers from industry, from spin-outs, from the university. We're going to talk about how AI is currently being used in different application areas. Because I think even though you may be working in a given application area, let's say energy, what is going on in similar application areas might be something very relevant for you. And that's the whole point of bringing this diverse group together, because there is a lot of cross-learning that can happen. I'm going to spend maybe a minute to briefly talk about the program directors. So Kezia is unfortunately unable to join this call because she is traveling, but she will be your module leader for module 1 in March. And so you're going to see a lot of her, and she's going to deliver lectures as well. Kezia is an associate professor here at the business school. Before this, she was in the US, and she has worked closely with a lot of universities in China. So she brings in a vast experience of AI development and applications in US, UK, and China. And it's not only the academic research that she does, which is fascinating, but she also works very closely with some of the top companies and businesses. So she can bring those insights for you. And she works in a lot of AI application areas. But if I were to pick one, I would say human-AI interaction is her specialty. And she is the founder of the Human-AI Interaction Lab at Oxford. And a bit about me. I have been at the business school for a while. I've been teaching the executive program, MBA, and I've also taught in other departments, mathematics, engineering, and so on. And my area of research is basically applications of AI in energy. That was my PhD thesis. And over the last decade, my research has mainly focused on the applications of AI and wearable technologies in the area of healthcare. So I work in personalized medication. I work also on emergency healthcare. So I think what we are eagerly looking forward is to share our experience and expertise with you, but equally, or more importantly, to also learn from you all. So I hope this is going to be a shared learning experience. Joe, next slide, please. So I thought I'll just talk about the program structure as to what you can expect. And I'll focus more on module 1 because after we meet in person in module 1, we can talk more in detail about what to expect in module 2, 3, and 4. So the first thing is the reading list. Now, I understand completely that you have busy schedules on personal and professional fronts. There may have been a bit of a gap coming back to uni. Can I just say the reading list is a highly ambitious, or in other words, a bit over-enthusiastic reading list. What I mean by that is I'm not expecting you all to go through every single line and write thesis on it now. If you get a chance to go through it, I think it would make you better prepared to engage and interact with your classmates and with the lecturers. But if you can't go through the whole reading list, I think that's fine. It's a starting point. It's not a complete exhaustive reading list. You can go through it during your time here. You can go through it after the first module as well. So all I'm trying to do is say, if you get time to go through all of it, super. If you can go through a bit of it, I think that should be okay. But it's a point that allows you to engage more effectively in the classroom. Now, talking about module 1, what kind of topics you can expect? I think module 1, which is the landscape of technological disruption, is going to focus a lot on what are the new trends and challenges and opportunities in the field of AI. And I think you can kind of guess a key focus of that would be generative AI, large language models, and how that field is shaping the whole landscape. As part of that, we look at what is Gen AI, how do these models kind of work, how is it being used in practice, and then we'll talk a lot about the strategy around it. That would be your first module. And Kejia, who is the program director, is going to lead that module. Module 2, I would say, is the most technical module out of the 4. Because I think it's important to also understand how these techniques work and what are the different types of AI. So module 2 will talk about the economics of big data. We'll talk about the uncertainty in your data sets. We'll talk about different machine learning techniques, AI approaches. We'll understand without going into the mathematics, but we'll try and make the most in terms of how these techniques actually work. What are the forecasts? What are the uncertainties and so on? Bige, who's a senior faculty member at the business school, will lead module 2. And module 2, in very simple terms, will be about methods and their application. Module 3 would be AI in practice, where we'll take the concepts from the first 2 modules, tied together in module 3, and see how AI is being used in different application areas. And I'll be leading that module, and we'll invite again senior academics, people from industry, so you can learn from them and share with them what your learnings are. And I think the cross-learning between disciplines is quite important for module 3. And in the final module, the key focus would be on taking all these concepts, this knowledge that you have, these connections that you'll build, and ask the question, how can I be a better leader? How can I manage my team? How can I change the direction of my company so that I can leverage AI for my applications? Joe, next slide, please. I think if different people presented these slides in different business schools who offer similar programs, I think the aims are going to be quite different, but these are my aims for this particular program. I think the first one is for all of us to have a deeper understanding of AI, and understanding in the sense that how do I apply it and use it to manage my team better, but in a manner that is not only impactful, but also ethical and compliant. So during these different modules, we will have experts who will talk about compliance, ethics, and bias. The second point would be about a specialist perspective. I mean, we are sitting at Oxford. We'll have some of the leading experts who would share their insights with you. So you get a better understanding of what are the trends, challenges, and opportunities in different application areas. The third bullet point for me is quite important. I mean, my PhD thesis was on forecasting. but not a point forecast, but a distribution forecast. Why? Well, you have uncertainty in your data set sometimes. You have uncertainty in these model parameters. So when you talk about AI, we typically focus on a point forecast. I want to focus on the uncertainty in these models, because only then you can talk about the question of what is your risk appetite? How does that uncertainty affect your strategy? And the risk and the strategy then in turn determines what the impact should be. So I think when you talk about AI, one has to be very honest and transparent in quantifying, communicating, and managing that uncertainty to make a more informed decision. And then the fourth point is regarding implementation, be it a large-scale company or an organization or a startup or a venture. Because a lot of companies are formed out of Oxford, I think there's a lot of learning that can happen here. And then the final point is for you to have a successful organization or a business where you are a leader, where you drive the change and the change doesn't happen to you. And if you may allow me maybe 2 more minutes, Joe, next slide, please. I would try and be a bit philosophical, if that's okay. I think it's a journey. It's a new journey that we are going to begin very soon. You know what? If you're on this call thinking it's been ages since I went back to university or read a book or an article on AI and the field is moving so fast, will I be able to cope up or not? Was this a good decision or not? Can I just say one thing? Like it or not, we are in this together. We'll make it work. And it's a field, I think, that's moving at a very fast pace. I think it's fair to say that 2 news are dominating newspapers and headlines. One is geopolitics, and the second is AI. I can't do much about the first one, but I think we can try and ask the question, how can we use AI to solve some of the challenges that our world faces or societies or our businesses? So without a doubt, it's a very interesting time. But you have to be in the right place at the right time. And I think Oxford is one of those right places. It's a magical place, not just because of the aesthetics, but also because of the research that's ongoing. And I think this particular program will give you insights into what's going on the research side of things and the translation. My personal view, my bias, is that although a lot of research is ongoing, the translation is not great. And that's my view. And I think this is where a lot of your experience and expertise can come into picture to ask a question, okay, all this research is ongoing. What are the bottlenecks? How you can translate it better? The fourth point I would say is, personally for me, when I did my PhD a few years back, some of the methods, some of the topics I would say are no longer relevant. The methods which I thought were state of the art are used as simple benchmarks or have been forgotten. So I think while learning is important, unlearning sometimes can be equally important because we have to be quite flexible in this environment. And then the fifth point I hope for all of you, including for me, is that I hope we reach a point where we drive the change and we don't feel like we are sitting in the back seat looking at someone drive this at a very fast pace. I have to highlight that this particular program has been running on for 5 years. The alumni network is very strong and it's very rich. I really hope that you tap into those networks, into those connections, because they are doing some amazing stuff. So I think these connections are going to be very important for all of you on this call. And then having gone through the CVs, having looked at your profiles, I can say this without a doubt that the expertise, the experience, the skill set that all of you bring in this cohort cannot and will not be undermined. There's a lot of cross-learning, there's a lot of peer learning that can happen and should happen. And we as the program directors and team will do our best to make that happen. I'll stop my presentation with a line from a poem that I use in every single lecture that I start with, which is, let the beauty of what you love be what you do. It's from a poet that I absolutely love, Rumi. And I hope that is true for all of you as you embark on this journey. So stop there. Thanks again. And I look forward to seeing you in person next month. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Siddharth. You are all going to get to know Siddharth, Kedja, and their expert team of faculty very well over the next year. And hopefully that provided a useful and enticing flavour into what the programme aims to achieve. Siddharth, I understand that you have to leave the call now, so thank you so much for your time. The next time you see Siddharth will be in person in just under a month's time. So thank you so much, Siddharth. Brilliant. Okay, so I'm now going to hand over. This part is the most practical part of the session in terms of how important it is. Hilary, your program manager, unfortunately is unable to attend, but thankfully our head of program services, Jonathan Dawson, is here to take you through this section. Please pay close attention, and any questions you have will be addressed at the end. But without further ado, over to you, Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Joe. As Joe says, my name is Jonathan Dawson. I'm the Senior Programme Manager responsible for our executive degrees. So we have a portfolio of 7 executive degrees, have 11 cohorts, 500 students. Of those, the Diploma in Artificial Intelligence for Business is our latest programme. As Siddharth said, it's been running for 5 years, and it is a truly excellent program. If we go to the next slide, Joe. So I head up the program services team. We are really fortunate to have Kedja and Siddharth as program directors. From an academic point of view, they've got lots of energy, they've got lots of drive, lots of knowledge. They're really committed to this program. Clearly, you've got to take that on trust at this stage, but I'm sure as you progress through the program, you will come to the same conclusion that we're really fortunate to have them and to have them so invested in this program. While they are, if you like, the stars of the show, what my team is responsible for is making sure that the planning, the preparation, and then the delivery of the programs happens on time to the right standards. So we provide this, if you like, the stage on which they, the stars, then perform. If we next slide, Joe. So to put that into context, through recruitment, through the application process, Pagan and Joe will have been your key points of contact. From the point at which you paid your deposit, that relationship transitions over to my team and will transition over to Hilary. So for support, if you've got questions, if you've got queries, the email address is there, DipAI admin. Contact us, contact Hilary through that via email, talk to us in person. But we are your first port of contact. Either we'll be able to resolve whatever query or issue you have, or we won't, in which case we will make sure that the people who are needed to resolve that issue or that query are engaged, and they support you appropriately, and then we'll make sure that the issue is closed off. You also see there we've got contacts for the library, for IT, for the admissions team, and all of these people we will introduce to you in person in your first module, so that you'll actually meet human people, faces behind these contacts, so that should you need their support, you know who to go to. But at a very simple level, my program team, Hilary, come to us first. The one exception for that, which you can see sort of here, is the assessment team. So in Oxford, there's a fairly basic principle, a simple but well-established principle, that those who are responsible for delivering the teaching are kept separate from the people who are responsible for assessing the quality of that teaching. So it's an arm's length relationship. We don't mark our own homework. There are academic standards, and Oxford takes those very seriously. So for assessment related issues, there is another team, an assessments team, that will deal with those. In practice, we work very closely with them. The head of the assessment teams is a good colleague, but officially the two are separate. So it's just something for you to be aware of. We will look after you between us and assessments until you complete your course. Till all being well, you've passed all your assessments, at which point you'll graduate, and then you will become alumni and part of the alumni community. Go to next, please, Joe. Next again. So I just take a moment to sort of drill down into slightly more detail, reiterating some of the points that Pagan and Siddharth have made. Like Churchill, tell them, and tell them again. The idea is to make sure that when you arrive, you're fully set up. So for your full modules, while you're with us, there's a standard routine. So prior to the module starting, for the 4 weeks to 6 weeks prior to the module starting, there will be pre-work that will be made available to you via Canvas, which is our online teaching platform. Clearly for module 1, depending on when you join the program, that may be slightly more time, slightly less time. But thereafter, for modules 2, 3, 4, it will be that 4 to 6 weeks beforehand you'll receive the materials. Siddharth is clearly nicer than I. He suggested you don't have to read everything. My advice to you, to all of you, would be come prepared. The weeks you have in Oxford are very intense. They're very busy. If you come prepared, you will get the most from them. If you come prepared, rather than having discussions that are at the sort of basic level of what is this, because you're informed, you'll be able to have discussions at the level of why is this? What might we want to do about this? Where could this go? So come prepared, simple message. That way you'll be able to operate at a higher level. The week in Oxford, as I say, is it is intense. It's a long week, even if it's only 4 days. After that, you'll go home, and for about 4 to 6 weeks, you'll have the opportunity to consolidate your learning on your own and to prepare to sit and then submit your assessment. That whole cycle is about 12, 13 weeks long. Once you've been through it once, you'll go through it second time, third time, fourth time for each of the modules. At the end, you then have to complete what's known as a final integrative assignment. This is in effect a mini dissertation. As opposed to being 3,000 words for an assignment, it's, I believe, 6,000 words for your dissertation. On the assumption that you've sat all of the assessments, submitted your FIA, and you've passed them all, you will then graduate. Next, please, Joe. The content of the modules will vary, as Siddharth has suggested. Broadly speaking, the teaching day runs from 9 to about 5:30. So there will be 4 sessions in a day. Each session is an hour and a half long, with breaks in between. Clearly, there might be variation by day, there might be variation by module, but broadly speaking, this is what you should be expecting. In addition to the teaching, there will be sessions that are inserted within the program to help you understand and navigate your way around the school initially, and there will be sessions inserted thereafter to help you make the most of Oxford. We will also build in, and I'll touch on this later, lots of non-academic but Oxford experience type sessions to make sure that it's a full and it's a rounded program while you're with us. Next, please, Joe. So clearly, as said before, I'm not Hilary, but Hilary when she is back and she is well, will be your program manager. She will be your contact point. She will assist you with onboarding, helping with your induction and making sure that you can navigate your way around SBS. She can also give you advice on university policies, university procedures. She can explain to you how Oxford, which is a complex beast on occasions, how it works, and she will support you through that. Each class will, after the end of the first module, elect 2 representatives from their own number to act as class representatives for the year. They'll be the communication channel, or one of the communication channels, between the student body and between the faculty and the professional services. And so Hilary will work closely with them, both to seek and to receive feedback, so that we can look to make sure we're continually improving the programme as we go. Clearly, Hilary can't bend university regulations. You know, she's there to support, but it is within boundaries. Next, please, Joe. So what I wanted to touch on just briefly was your college membership. So while you are in Oxford, Side Business School, SBS is your first home. You know, it's where you'll spend the majority of your time. We'd very much hope it's where you make friends. It's where you build your networks. But because Oxford is a collegiate university, you also get a second home. And in your case, this is Jesus College. Jesus is one of the smaller colleges, one of the older colleges, but through Professor Sir Nigel Shadbolt, it has a very strong connection and strong interest in artificial intelligence. We will organise a tour of the college, an introduction to the college during Module 1, and thereafter, as associate members of the college, you can build your own relationship with them, and depending on your circumstances and where you are in the world, use as much or take advantage of as much or as little as the college has to offer. Next, please. So we talked quite a bit about the academic side of the programme. In addition to the academics, this is the non-academic part, the Oxford experience. You are coming to an 800, nearly 900-year-old university. You are coming to a beautiful city. So there are things that we will organise to provide you an entry into that university and into the city. So we will organise formal college dinners. We will organise an Oxford Union debate so that you can participate in the way that generations of people have in probably the most famous debating society in the world. We will organise punting. I suspect you will organise falling in and getting yourselves out again. Somebody always does. Great activity for the summer, not now the weather's slightly miserable. We will also organise visits to the Ashmolean, the Bodleian, the Tellurian Institute, you know, lots of the fantastic places, the really rich places that exist in Oxford. What I would say, though, is while we will organise this for you, which is your sort of entree into Oxford, in the nicest possible way, the rest is up to you. Your Oxford experience is what you make of it. I would strongly recommend you throw yourselves into it, that you use this opportunity to make lifelong friends, to build networks, to engage with people like yourself who are interesting and interested. You know, in joining the program, you will have ideas, you will have aspirations. This is an opportunity to start fulfilling those. So throw yourself into the program as much as you can, as much as you want to. Yeah, if only to find your favorite pub and spend the evenings talking and discussing and building ideas. Find the level that works for you, but make the most of Oxford while you're here. And I and my team, from a professional services point of view, will do all that we can to provide you within a framework in which you can achieve that. Thank you. Joe, I think I probably should now hand over to Pagan.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yes, just want to reiterate what Jonathan said. The programs team are an amazing team of professionals who do really care. We all really care about your experience here, and we will do everything we can to make sure it's the best. So you'll all be pleased to know that the listening part of this session is nearly over. I'm sure you've been taking a lot of information in, but I just want to finish off by talking about some steps that you need to complete before the 18th of March. The first thing, probably the most important thing, and my plea to you all, if you have not paid your deposit, to please do that as soon as possible. The reason for this is paying your deposit unlocks a whole many doors. It gives you access to the online learning platform Canvas. That's where you can access the pre-reading, view the timetable. As Jonathan said, we normally give you the pre-reading, around 4 weeks in advance. So it just goes to show that the sooner you can start your reading, the better. Other than that, you should have received a survey from the admissions team to complete, in which you give details of your measurements for the academic address, as well as filling in the university card form and providing your headshot. That all starts a chain of events to get your student card. Once you paid your deposit and complete the invited card form, you will get access to your Oxford University email. Separate to this, you also will receive your Saïd Business School email. You do get it's very complicated, and I'm not sure I'm the best person to explain the IT system here, but you will get a Saïd email and a University of Oxford account as well. And like I said, that gives you access to Canvas, in which you can complete pre-reading. If you've not done so already and you need to, please do check out the visa requirements for your particular situation and book travel and accommodation. I have been getting questions about accommodation. There is no one key place where everyone goes. Typically, you're all quite dispersed around the city. If you've not been here before, Oxford is very small. All of the key hotels in the city centre are within walking distance. So if you're, not in the same place as your cohort, you're not going to miss out on anything, don't worry. And very soon, in the next couple of weeks, the admissions team will be sending you your final tuition invoice. So do make sure that is paid by the 18th of March, please. And I think that's it from me. So we are, I believe, now going over to a Q&A. I'm going to hand back to Joe.
Thank you very much, Pagan. Wonderful. And thank you to all of you for listening so diligently. Hopefully that was a very informative 45 minutes or so. This is your chance to get any burning questions off your chest. I'm actually going to stop sharing the slides, and all of a sudden we'll be able to see each other. So it's almost like we're in the lecture theatre and you can see everyone's smiling faces. Okay, so we have some space now for you to ask any questions. It could be about any aspect of the program, any concerns that you'd like to share. I'm sure that they are perhaps questions or concerns shared by others. You can be brave and raise your hand and then unmute. You could also put a question into the chat, but this is your section now to make sure that any concerns or questions are addressed. So if anyone would like to go first, hopefully we've done a good job and you don't have any questions at all, but okay, thank you, Anna. We have our first question. Have all the lecturers for all the modules been identified and locked in? Yes and no, not quite though, because especially for the subsequent modules, and particularly module 3, AI in practice, Siddharth mentioned the guest faculty and guest speakers, which provide the industry insights. So actually confirming them now, who knows what will change in the world between now and module 3. So the side business school faculty are locked in and they're preparing their lectures. But in terms of guest speakers and the additional faculty, they will be updated and confirmed closer to the time. Thank you very much for your question. When do we find out the question for the first assignment? This is, Jonathan, over to you for that one.
I was going to say, Joe, I could probably help on that one. So what normally happens is that you will have the module. At the end of the module, there will be a session with the module lead, program director, and they will talk about what the assignment might be. You'll then go back home, have a chance to sort of reflect on your notes, reflect on your learning, consolidate. Probably about 2 weeks after, they will release the case study. They're normally case studies. You would get a week to look at the case study. The question will then come a week after. So it's a very measured process. There are no surprises. We recognize that, you know, outside of the program, people have careers, people have families. So we try and set it up such that, you know, in normal circumstances, you can plan your time and everything is manageable.
Thank you, Jonathan. Absolutely. There's another assessment-related question from Andrew. Thank you very much. Are the assignments done in groups or individually? The simple answer is individually. So this is a program, a diploma that you complete as an individual. The collaborative nature comes from the modules, your interactions in the class, but you are completing assessments as individuals. There are some group activities, scenarios, and so on during the modules, which are very enjoyable, but your assessments are as an individual. Kiran has asked a very important question. Is there a class directory providing bios and contact details for the cohort? Yes, we create a profile book, which is circulated during module 1, but you each have a responsibility to be included in that. You might have noticed on the 6 steps for success, one of them is providing a headshot and a bio. If you don't do that, we can't include it in the profile book. So please write that, provide that. I don't know if you have anything to add on that, Jonathan.
No, as you say, we need your input. So when you receive the forms from admissions and you look at the questions, I think, oh my God, what's this? The questions will have a purpose behind them. And certainly the questions relating to your professional background and the request for a specific passport style photo are there for a reason. One of them is that allows us to build the profile book. For the profile book, when it asks for your sort of bio, 200 words, 300 words is absolutely fine. A 1-line sentence is probably not very helpful to your classmates. Equally, if you're writing a 1,000-word essay, no doubt it is beautiful, but it probably won't get used. So as a guide, you know, a sort of summary, 200 words, 300 words that describes you and what you do would be really helpful.
Thank you. Jonathan, a question that I'm going to ask for you. Alberto has just asked another clarification on the assessment. So for module 1 to 3, the assessments are sent through the platform. Is that right?
So for all of the assessments, they are submitted online. The tool that sits behind it is called SAMS. It is the University of Oxford assessment tool. So once you've got the question, once you've written your answer, you will have to log into that specific tool. It will identify you. You will have to confirm that you've not cheated, that you've committed no plagiarism, that it's all your own work. You will then upload your work. It is time stamped, so you have to submit it by the given time. once that system has received your work, it will run it through a checker for plagiarism. So the university, I mean, as it's Oxford, we take academic standards very, very seriously. So your work will be checked to confirm that it is your own work. It will then go to the markers who will mark it. What I would say on assessments is that we recognise that for many of you, it's probably quite a long time since you sat a formal university-style exam. So we make sure both during the first module and subsequently when you go back home and are preparing for the assessment, there is lots of support and lots of explanation of what's required. So if you're unsure at this stage, that's probably normal. You know, as far as possible, don't worry. We will make sure, the idea is that, you know, we're here to help me pass. We won't write the paper, but operationally, we're here to help you pass. To have the confidence, have the trust in us to get you through it, and we will.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jonathan. Ailey has asked two questions, very important questions. I'm going to answer the second one first, which is what kind of gym access will you have? Side Business School does not have a gym, but there are University of Oxford sport facilities which you can access using your university card. And many students do so. In fact, we've had a couple of students even represent the university at various sports if you're feeling particularly competitive. So we can talk you through that, and Hilary can help you with that. If I'm honest though, many hotels in Oxford also have gym facilities. So it might be easier to prioritize finding one of those hotels that has a gym. That might be the easier option. The other question is what kind of referencing will be used for essays? I wonder if actually it's best to park this question to an extent. During module 1, you meet various members of the team that will take you through in great detail how to prepare for your assessments, and that includes referencing. So I think that politely, that's not something that you need to have too much of a worry about at the moment. There's a question from Adnan, which Pagan has answered, but I'm just going to bring it to the group, which is what's the formal meeting on the morning of the 18th of March? Jonathan, would you mind just quickly talking through what the registration process is on the first day of the first module?
So the registration process is really very simple. If you come to Side Business School, come to the entrance to the Thatcher Business Centre, which is the west wing of the business school. So the entrance that's closest to the railway station. Come through the doors. You will be met by a member of my team. We'll check your name. We will then provide you your access card. We will take you to the lecture theatre. We'll probably get you a coffee and a biscuit. And then the induction will start. So off the top of my head, forgive me, I can't remember what time Hilary has said to arrive. I suspect it's 8:30 to 9 o'clock. Don't quote me on it. Arrive at that time. There's no benefit in arriving early. Don't arrive late. Once, as I say, once that's all sorted, we'll start the induction. The inductions will be a series of welcomes. Program director from the program services team will introduce you to IT, will introduce you to the libraries, introduce you to student welfare. So all the people you need to know so that you can navigate your way around the school. Once you're set up in that regard, then the day proper will start with the teaching. So arrive at the given time, be prompt, don't be early, don't be late, and we'll sort you out and make sure you have a coffee and a biscuit.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jonathan. Another question from Adnan around parking and if it's easy to park. Oxford was largely built around 700 or 800 years before the motor vehicle was around and has made absolutely no attempt at a city to make a room for the motor car. And I'm speaking from 15 years living in this city. So please find an alternative. The clear answer is do not rely on your car to get you to Side Business School. As Pagan and a number of us have said, Oxford is a very small city. Most hotels are within easy walking distance of Side Business School. We are directly opposite Oxford Station. I'm actually looking out the window at one of the platforms. Yeah, so please don't count on being able to park anywhere near Side Business School. It's inconvenient and expensive. I wish I could give you a better answer. Most of you, I imagine, will be staying in Oxford though, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue, hopefully. Okay, I would love to give you, if you did have time, for some of you to stay on the call, a chance to just do a bit of networking. So let's just do one more question, and then we can give you some space. If you do need to drop off, then that's absolutely fine. But previous cohorts have said one of the best things about these events is the chance to start to meet our classmates. So you can blame them for what's going to happen. There is a question from Marinus. When will you start using the Oxford email address for program communication? Is that only once the classes have commenced? Jonathan?
Yes, so up to and including the end of the first module, we will use both your personal email address and your Saïd Business School email address. After the end of the first module, we will switch to using just your Saïd Business School email address. When you come to school on that first morning and have the induction with IT, our head of IT services will talk you through all of the email addresses that you get and how they fit together. I can apologize in advance. It's probably more complicated than it should be. But I guess, like, you know, a number of things at Oxford, it's grown up over 800 years. And you know, if you're starting here and now, it's probably not how you design it. But again, not one to be overly concerned about. This happens for every program. It happens every year. So we make sure we've got the arrangements in place. With Ben, the head of IT, coming on the first morning to talk you through it, and then support through the first week. So that you can do everything that you need to do and focus on the learning rather than worrying about the sort of operations and admin in the background.
So thank you. Okay, I'm aware we're approaching the top of the hour. So I would love to give those of you that do have a bit more time, 5 minutes just in breakout rooms to meet some of the class. If you need to drop off for another meeting, we completely understand. So thank you so much for attending. Pagan, Jonathan, Siddharth, and myself are very excited to see you all in Oxford. But if you are able to stay for another 5 minutes and would like the chance to meet some of your classmates, then we're going to put you into breakout rooms in just a second. We will come back and then formally finish off the event. But you should all now be invited into a room. Go and meet some of your classmates, and I'll see you all in a few minutes' time. And if you have to leave, goodbye, greetings from Oxford, see you soon.